Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Higurashi When They Cry, Chapter 2, Watanagashi. So last time, Keiichi had a phone call with Shion. He's been waiting for that phone call, right? And he got it. And they've been talking. And then Shion revealed that she told Kimiyoshi everything, right? Kimiyoshi, the mayor that has gone missing. So yeah, she was panicking a lot. I guess very delusional as well. And then Keiichi also told her that he talked to Rika-chan, right? And he told everything to Rika-chan. So if ever Rika-chan goes missing, or if she dies, prime suspect number one for me is gonna be Shion, honestly. And by the way, I said last time that we hadn't seen Mion change her eyes. I actually had to check. Yeah, in what episode? Part 13, I think, or part 12 of our playthrough. Yeah, Mion changed her eyes for a couple seconds, I guess for like 5 seconds when she was asking Keiichi if she's seen Tomitake, Takano, and Shion. Yeah, just for a couple seconds. I kind of forgot about that, so I'm sorry. I had to check. I had to double check, I mean. So, let us continue our story of Watanagashi today. After hanging up on Shion, I searched for Rika-chan's phone number on my school's contact list. And there it is. My fingers trembled with urgency and I failed multiple times to put in the simple 5-digit number. He's panicking.
Keiichi, こんな時間に電話？夜遅くは先方に失礼だからよしなさい。
今はそれどころじゃないんだよ。
I shouted angrily at my mom, listening to the dial tone. Pick up, come on, pick up. The time was 11 p.m. It certainly wasn't early. It was essentially the middle of the night. Had Rika-chan already gone to bed? Her phone would be ringing constantly though, so she would get back up for me. Or would she get back up for me? Rika-chan didn't pick it up. She didn't pick up. She didn't pick up. Maybe he just happened to miss it. Maybe her bed was just too far away from the phone. The sound of a phone ringing gets clearer and clearer the longer you go on sleeping. Then the bathroom? Yeah, she must be taking a bath. If that was the case, then even if she heard the phone, she wouldn't be able to pick it up. It was a little late to be taking a bath though, but it was possible she normally took baths right before going to bed. I'll wait 30 minutes and try calling again. Jesus. Okay, even as I was thinking that, I called her house over and over again. Yeah, because Keiichi's really panicking right now. I kept calling. Over and over again, I kept calling on her, but she didn't pick up even once. I think I kept trying for about 30 minutes, yet she wasn't picking up. Were my phone calls so persistent that she had gotten scared of picking up the receiver? No, that couldn't possibly be it. There was no point in doing this any longer. The best thing to do would be to go there in person, right now. Where was Rika-chan's house though? I've never even asked where she lived. Her residence was written there in the contact list, but it was an address with mostly numbers, so I couldn't tell where it was just by reading it. Isn't there a map or something in here? Rika Furude. Her last name was Furude. It was a bit of an odd last name, so it might be easy to find. Thinking that, I rummaged through around the drawer with the phone book, but could only find things like takeout menus and phone numbers for public establishments. I tore one thing after another out of the drawer, but I didn't come up with any clues as where to Rika-chan's house was. Calm down, Keiichi. If you don't know, then just ask. Ask someone who does know.
そうだ。レナなら知ってるに違いない。
Oh yeah, Rena. I looked up Rena's phone number in the contact list. Rena Ryugu. There she was. You're gonna say Keiichi-kin?
もしもし、
Oh, Rena's dad. The first time we're hearing this.
竜宮です。
It was the voice of a grumpy sounding man. It must have been Rena's dad. I'm calling in the middle of the night. I need to be polite.
夜分遅くに申し訳ありません。前原と申しますが、レナさんはいらっしゃいますか？
レイナは風呂に入っていますが。あ、出たかな。レイナ、友達から電話だぞ。
Alright, Reina Ryugu was her real name, wasn't it? I'd gotten so used to calling her Rena that her real name caught me a little off guard.
もしもし、お電話変わりました。
あ、俺だよ、ケイジだ。
Okay, here we go, Keiichi-kin.
夜遅くにすまん。
あれ？ケイチ君？こんな時間に何かな？
実はリカちゃんの家がどこにあるのか知りたいんだ。
Rena seemed a little appalled that I called her for something like that at this hour. However, she spoke her next words seriously, as if she'd caught on how urgent my need was.
いいよ。古出神社の境内に集会所があるよね。その裏手に2階建ての倉庫小屋があるのを知ってるかな？
Also, basically next to the shrine.
そこに住んでるんだよ。
I couldn't immediately visualize the place, but as long as I knew she lived on the shrine grounds, I just have to take a look around.
わかった。ありがとう。こんな遅くにすまなかったな。
Rena, can you join us? We're scared.
親父さんに謝っといてくれ。
そんなのはいいよ、ケイチ君。それより、どうしてリカちゃんの家を聞くのかな？
Rena asked in an unusually sharp way, halting before I could hang up on the phone. I hesitated for a moment about where to tell her. He was killed because I told him.
ケイチ君？聞こえてるなら答えてほしいな。どうしてリカちゃんの家の場所をこんな時間に聞きたいのかな？
Rena affected her usual tone, but beneath her words lay a certain tension, like she'd intuitively sensed something was going on. What will you do, Keiichi? If it's Rena, can't I tell her? He was killed because he found out. I revealed everything, so he was killed.
ケイチ君？レナは真剣に聞いてるんだけどな。答えてほしいよ。
Rena asked me once again in a tone so forceful I couldn't imagine her ever using it normally. I was taken aback by her vigor. Rena was Rika-chan's friend too. She had the right to be concerned about Rika-chan disappearing. If I told Rena then, even if only for a moment, I could drive away my horrifying fears.
でな、理由を聞かれると困るんだが。
Rena's tone was serious as itself. Just from that tone, I could feel her saying, "No matter what you say, Keiichi-kun, I'll believe you." Keiichi-kun. That subtle sense of security gave me the courage to reveal the truth.
リカちゃんが危ない気がするんだ。
それは虫の知らせかな？それともリカちゃんに危険が迫っている何か確信がある？
I really didn't have time to go back and forth with Rena about this. Still, I think listening to her calm voice suited my pointless impatience.
確信はないけど。
Yet, I still hesitated. I had told Rika-chan that we had snuck in the ritual storehouse. The mayor to whom Shion had confessed before had already disappeared. So it was possible that Rika-chan also. I didn't know how to explain to Rena. While I was tongue-tied, Rena spoke up.
変なこと聞いてごめんね。考えたら確信なんか必要なかった。
Rena laughed a little, seeming a bit absent-minded. I wasn't exactly in the mood to laugh, so this time I was dumbfounded. Rena continued in a cheerful yet still purposeful voice.
友達のことが心配になって、それを確かめるのに理由なんかいらないと思う。仮にリカちゃんが寝ててそれを起こしてしまったとしても、 それが理由なら私たちは誰も怒らないと思うよ。
Rena, arigato.
じゃあまずは圭一君に確認するね。リカちゃんの家に電話はしたんだよね。それでどうしても繋がらないから家の場所を聞いてきたんだね。
ああ、10分以上は鳴らし続けたと思う。ひょっとしたら気づかなくて寝てるだけなのかも。
リカちゃんの家はとても狭いの。だから電話が鳴ったらたとえ寝ていても気づかないわけはないよ。さとこちゃんもいるんだから2人揃って気づかないわけはない。
What? Sadako-chan is there too, okay?
さとこってリカちゃんと一緒に住んでるのか？
Oh, hell no. So if Rika-chan goes missing, both of them are gonna go missing now.
うん、知らなかったの？今はその話は後ね。とにかく電話をそれだけ鳴らして誰も出ないのは絶対におかしいよ。
Rena understood the situation wasn't normal, far faster than I could have ever imagined her to. It made her seem dependable. However, the fact that Rena had acknowledged this also meant that the best case possibility of it all just being the result of my own needless fears went out of the window.
私も今からすぐにリカちゃんの家に行くね。一緒に行く？
Okay, let's bring Rena. Rena can be crazy sometimes, right? But we need that crazy right now.
なら迎えに行くよ。
わかった。じゃあいつもの待ち合わせ場所で合流しよう。待ってるぞ。
私、圭一君の家に迎えに行くから。だからお家で待ってていいよ。それからご家族に私と一緒にリカちゃんの家に行ってくるって伝えておいてね。
うちでいいのか？時間のロスのような。
あと、みーちゃんには電話した？みーちゃんはこういう時すっごく頼もしいの。
No, for Mion and Shion, we don't need them for now. Yeah, it's hard to see who we trust. Like, I don't trust Shion much more, but yeah, but for both of them, we need them to be far away, right? At least for now.
まだなら私から電話しておくね。
My thoughts. Wait, what? Oh, hell no! Don't give her a call. Shiona just told me to be careful around Mion during our phone conversation a little while ago. If the Sonozaki main house was somehow lurking behind the surface of the annual freak deaths, then the current heir to the family, Mion, wouldn't be uninvolved. So wouldn't that mean she wasn't uninvolved in what happened this year too? To Takano-san and Tomitaki-san, and also the mayor's disappearance?
じゃあね。すぐに行くからね。待っててね。
That's all Rena said before hurriedly hanging up. Now wasn't a time to be doubting Mion. I needed to make sure Rika-chan was safe. Honestly, we need Rena because if anything goes down today, right? Or yeah, this time, when we're going to Rika's house, we need someone to defend Keiichi, and Rena can do it. I got changed and grabbed the key to my bike. I figured things would go more smoothly if we met up in the place we usually do before school. Rena wouldn't need to come all the way to my house. My parents would probably have objected if I told them I was leaving, so I creeped out without a word. The night was unusually warm and disagreeably humid. She said that Rika-chan and Satoko lived together, right? And then it wasn't only Rika. My god, it wasn't only Rika-chan, Satoko wasn't there either. Realizing what them living together really meant caused my thoughts to immediately take turn for worse. That can't be Satoko. She's got nothing to do with any of this. Even if there were a reason for Rika-chan to disappear, there shouldn't be one for Satoko. Okay. She's here. Rena was really fast. She approached me on her bike at an amazing speed. Her breath was ragged, panting a clear picture of how just hurriedly she'd been going.
Oh, Rena! さあ、行こうぜ!
圭一くん、
Oh, this is the first time I think I've seen Rena's face like this. In a long time, I mean.
私、お家で待っててって言ったはずだよ。
A very serious face. Rena's expression was all business. Yes, all business face, Rena. So was she mad? It came out of the blue and I faltered for a moment.
いや、ここで合流した方が早く出発できると思ってさ。
圭一君は本当に分かってるの？
Rena shouted clearly and angry. I had never seen Rena like this before, yeah.
分かってるのかって何がだよ。
Like, it's quite different when she was crazy, right? When she was angry, crazy. But yeah, this one is different. Like, all business, Rena mode. Rena seemed to notice she was scaring me, took a couple deep breaths, and then continued as if admonishing me, but her expression didn't soften at all.
圭一君、昨日村長さんがいなくなって村中で大騒ぎになったよね。
ああ、
そんな中で圭一君はリカちゃんとさとこちゃんがいなくなったって言ってるんだよ。
ああ、そういうことになるな。
じゃあもっと用心しなくちゃダメだよ。こんな夜中にたった一人でこんなところで突っ立ってるなんて不用心にも程があるんだから。
I began to understand where Rena's anger was coming from.
ご家族にはちゃんと私とリカちゃんの家に行くって伝えたよね。万が一私と圭一君が揃って失踪しちゃうようなことがあっても、いつどの辺でいなくなったのかを残すことができる。
Rena was perfectly level-headed in this emergency situation. Ever since the night of the Watanagashi, every night someone had died or disappeared. On the night itself, Takano and Tomitake-san met strange ends. On the next night, the elder vanished. Now on the next night after that, Rika-chan and Satoko were nowhere to be found. I hadn't been thinking of anyone but myself, but it wasn't enough to say that Hinamizawa was a little weird at the moment. It was in fact extremely strange. Rena had anticipated our own disappearances and had told me to tell my family where I was going. I was embarrassed at my own carelessness, and the need to be embarrassed made me afraid of the night.
ごめん、まだ言ってなかった。
うん。じゃあ一緒に言いに行こう。
We're gonna go back home? With Rena beside me, I wheeled back towards my house. Wow, full moon. The moon seemed strangely high in the sky. A sky that was uselessly vast and cold. So that no matter what, it would never seem to me like a dream. This cruel fact had already confronted me. On such a crazy night, Rena had been unimaginably dependable. Hinamizawa's metamorphosis, enough to make Rena caution me against carelessness, was to me the most fearsome thing of all. The moon seemed strangely high in the sky. Oh, Mion, yeah, Rena called her, right? We met up with Mion on the way, and she of course was unsure whether to believe me about Rika-chan and Satoko's disappearance.
ケイちゃん、本気で言ってんの？もし冗談だったらかなり怒るよ。
Mion was clearly displeased. If this were a joke, it wasn't very funny. I understood how indiscreet my words were. Ever since the day before yesterday, someone had either died or vanished every night. Rika-chan, Satoko disappearing after all, that was something you just couldn't say, even in jest.
みーちゃん、本当に冗談だったなら怒るんじゃなく笑おうよ。だって冗談なんだから。私たちはそれが冗談であることを確かめなくちゃいけない。
そうだね。機嫌の悪そうなことを言ってごめん。
However indiscreet a joke it may have been, if we learned that our friends were safe, it would end up as nothing more than a funny story. Having been warned about that by Rena, Mion gave a dry smile, the tension she felt loosening a bit. She mounted her bicycle as well. Our 3 bicycles' lights flashed down the pitch-black roads. They were some of the only illumination outside.
ケイちゃんはなぜ急にこんな時間にリカちゃんの家に電話なんかする気になったわけ？
Mion asked me the same thing that I had trouble explaining to Rena-chan.
虫が知らせたじゃおかしいか。
I couldn't quite tell because it was dark, but I thought I could see Mion smiling very ambiguously. I definitely understood that she wasn't convinced though, despite the
俺
darkness.
さ、 うたた寝してる時に悪い夢を見るとどうしても気になっちゃうんだよ。
ケイチ君はそれでリカちゃんがさらわれる夢を見たわけかな。
いや、もっと漠然とした予感みたいなものだよ。リカちゃんが電話に出てくれたならレナやミオにも続けて電話するつもりだったよ。
Lies smoothly babbled out of my mouth. Makeshift though they were. I was lying because I thought telling them I was connected to Shion would be like silently admitting we'd stolen into the ritual storehouse together that night. Mion didn't press me any further. I don't know whether that convinced her, or maybe she figured that making sure Rika-chan and Satoko were safe would be faster than making an issue of it. I felt relieved and immediately a little guilty. Mion hadn't really been acting any differently these last few days, but I'm still trying to distance myself from her for some reason. It was only because of what I heard from Shion and Uishi-san that she was a successor to some kind of super extravagant gang family? No. Was I just trying to force myself to forget? Don't do that, Keiichi Maibara. Wasn't it Mion who was the first to ask about the night of Watanagashi? In such a harsh tone at that. Have I already forgotten the terror I felt? At that time, Mion looked like someone different from the Mion I knew. When I think about that Mion, then Shion, and then Uishi-san's descriptions of Mion made a tiny bit more sense. That's it, isn't it? If it wasn't for how she acted that day, then I wouldn't be feeling this way towards her now. What on earth was going on with her back then? I was conveniently thinking only of everything she had done after that. While disregarding the very first thing I should have been looking at the most, wasn't I? Mion was pedaling her bicycle in front of me, her long hair fluttering in the wind. No matter how long I looked at her back, it never gave me answers to any of my questions. We went all the way to the stone steps leading up to the shrine grounds. Of course, we weren't going to want to haul our bikes up there, so we parked them beside the staircase
フル
instead.
デ神社か。
みんな公園みたいな感覚で勝手に出入りしてるけど、本当はここはフルデ家の立派な私有地なんだよ。
So the entire shrine is private property. It really makes you feel the passage of time. 10 or 20 years ago, it would have been or would have looked the exact same.
だとするとフルデ家って結構な旧家なんじゃないのか。代々続いた由緒ある。
うん。ない。おかしいよ。
Rena said something clearly disquieting, so I ran over to her.
どうしたレナ。
リカちゃんとサトコちゃんはいつもここに自転車を止めてるはずなの。ほら、どこにもない。
I took a look around. Indeed, there were no other bicycles other than the ones we'd taken to get here.
他の場所に止めてる可能性もあるんじゃない。例えば担いで石段を上がったとか。
女の子には無理だよ、ケイチ君。
I mean, yeah, they're very small, little girls. Just as she said, I couldn't imagine Rika-chan and Satoko lugging their bikes all the way up here. Or up there, I mean. We hadn't yet knocked on Rika-chan's door, but reality was already sparking some ideas that weren't what you'd call good. Maybe they were just parked under some trees and we hadn't noticed them? I refuse to believe that not being able to find their bikes here was proof that they disappeared.
行こうぜ。家に行った方がはるかに確実だろう。
We all nodded and dashed up the stone steps. We passed through the red arch and came out onto the shrine grounds, which was covered in neat gravel. It was so quiet here, as though the Watanagashi festival had never happened.
で、リカちゃんたちが住んでいる家ってのはどこにあるんだ。
こっち。ついてきて。
Rena took the lead and sprinted off. Honestly, I like Rena's face like that. You're very, very serious, right? Rena took the lead and sprinted off. We went towards the assembly hall behind the shrine, then looped around behind it. In the darkness of the night, you find a small prefab 2-story shack that looked like a warehouse.
明かり消えてるね。 寝てるんじゃない？
ノックしてみよう。
Ren and Mion neared the shack, which didn't really look like a place people would live. They had such a beautiful shrine, so I'd figured they'd live in an equally beautiful house. It was far from what I had expected.
リカちゃん、さとこちゃん、いる？
Rena shouted up towards the second floor. Her voice was restrained at first, but it steadily grew louder. No answer. In fact, there wasn't any sort of activity in the house at all.
寝てるのかもしれない。
Hopefully.
起こしてみよう。
Okay. Mion banged the shutter with both hands, and the loud sounds echoed into our surroundings. They would have noticed this much noise, yes. They would turn on the lights in the room, fling open the windows, and yell, "What time do you think it is?" That, however, wasn't happening. There was absolutely no response. Mion stopped slamming the door, or slamming her fist on the shutter, and sudden silence fell over us. The silence aroused terrible thoughts in us. I could feel the blood draining from my face.
鍵かかってる。どこかから中に入れないかな。
Rena showed no signs of stopping, though. It didn't look like she would admit they weren't there until we went inside and saw for ourselves. That refusal to give in gave me strength.
2階の窓とか鍵をかけ忘れてないかな。俺ちょっと試してみる。
ケイちゃん、はしご。
Mion brought over a ladder that was standing against the house. The footing was a little unstable for me to be climbing it, but Mion held the ladder firmly in place for me. I hadn't climbed too many ladders. My inexperience with them exposed, I climbed up one a step at a time and tried to open each window on the second floor.
みーちゃん、私念のため本宅の方も見てくるね。すぐ戻るから。
Rena darted away. What, a main house?
古出家の本当の家だよ。両親が亡くなって以来、ずっと放置してあるそうだけど。
あ、そうか。リカちゃんのご両親って亡くなってるんだよな。
At that point, I recalled something else. And wasn't Satoko living here too?
聡子も親なしだよ。親代様のたたりってことで、両親が崖から落っこちてね。お兄さんだったサトシ君もいなくなっちゃって。
サトシって前に聞いた名前だな。
I remembered. He was the one who disappeared last year because of the curse.
それ以来、聡子はリカちゃんと一緒にこの小屋で暮らしてるんだよ。互いに身寄りのない一人ぼっち同士。助け合ってね。
本宅って言ったか？そっちで暮らした方が楽だろうに。
The curtains were drawn, so I couldn't get a good look inside to see, but two young girls living together seems like a pretty tough life.
初めはそうしてたみたい。でも、両親を思い出すから辛いって言って。
I had no idea. I feel really bad for them. They were normally so cheerful at school that I never even realized the atom of this.
リカちゃんもサトコも大変なんだな。
呪われてるんだよ。
What?
え？
Suddenly Mion said something in such a low voice that it sounded like she was really cursing someone, and I didn't let it slide. I turned around on the ladder to face her and ask again.
ミオン、お前今なんて言っ
呪われてるって言ったの。
Mion, still holding onto the ladder, brought her head up to look me in the eyes. As soon as our eyes met, an absolutely zero jolt of electricity surged through my body. Mion's eyes clouded over, and within them boiled and bubbled a stew of chaos. They whirled around and around like a raging sea, and bubbles floated to the surface. I had at some point been trapped on this ladder like being cornered on a dead-end street.
ミオ、お前、なんて顔してんだよ。
I intended to follow that up with, "You're going too far with this joke," and give her a forced smile. However, on such uneven footing, the only thing that came out of my mouth was a hoarse groan as I desperately struggled to not let nausea overwhelm me.
北条聡子はね、お社様のたたりを一身に受けた呪われた子なの。
Mion answers with a response of something I never asked, as if replying to somebody else's question.
公園の展望台から転落死したのは両親だけ。あの子をミソッカス扱いしてた冷たい両親だけが死んで、あの子は一人だけ助かった。引き取り先であの子をいじめたおばは、綿流しの夜に異常者に脳みそがぐっちゃぐちゃに飛び散って頭が原型をとどめないくらいにめった打ちにされて殺された。
Okay.
いつもあの子をかばってたサトシ君もあの子の誕生日に突然消えてしまった。あの子をいじめていなかったのに消されてしまった。警察は家出したんだって決めつけたけど、サトシ君は逃げ出すような人じゃなかった。いつも一生懸命、誰の力も借りずにコツコツと一人懸命に努力する人だった。たった一人の妹のために身を粉にして頑張ってたのに消されてしまった。あの子のためにだけに生きていたのに消されてしまった。かわいそうなサトシくん。なんて報われないサトシくん。なんて恩知らずなあの子なの。あの子は呪われた子。あの子に近づけばそれが誰でも末路は同じ。たたりで死ぬかたたりで消えるか。あの子に安らぎなんてあるものか。あの子に安らぎなんてあるものか。リカちゃんが消えたのもきっとサトコのせいだよ。違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違いない違い
Oh my god. Mion was mumbling words over and over that were no longer coherent. Her shoulders were trembling so hard that I could feel it through the ladder. I almost lost my footing, which made me realize just how far away the ground really was.
落ち着けよミオ。何のことを言ってるのかわからないよ。
I wasn't sure if she even heard me. Mion rocked back and forth, and that rocking and trembling was becoming even more violent. Help me. The ladder, it's falling. Help. Help, Rena, help. Just then, I heard the sound of many people running towards us.
おい。ここだ。
I very nearly said help me outright. 4 or 5 adults led by Rena ran over here with flashlights.
ケイチくん、みーちゃん、遅れてごめんね。鍵借りてきたよ。
助かったね。
She's like, oh, nice one.
どうも窓も戸締まりは完璧らしくてね。困ってた。
When I heard Mion talking like nothing had just happened, I again felt a chill run through me. The person currently holding the ladder in place, it was definitely Mion. It was the real Mion Sonozaki. Then the person muttering to themselves just a few seconds ago. The person who was mumbling about terrible things like curses, who was that? I jumped down from the ladder running away, before Mion turned into that person who wasn't Mion a second time. The adults tried a few different keys on a keyring as they tried to open the big shutter on the first floor.
リカちゃんの家はね、もともとは町会の防災倉庫だったの。だからシャッターの鍵を今でも村長さんの家が預かってるの。
今ではリカちゃんとサトコの指定だけど、まあもともとリカちゃんの家の敷地内だし、誰も文句は言わないけどね。
Mion gave me a smile as she said that. I, however, could only return her gaze with an aghast expression. Mion was acting all too normal now, but that only contrasted all the more sharply with her earlier unMion-like creepiness. Bang, bam, clatter, clatter, and bang. The shutter opened for the first time in a very long while. Rena located the light switch and wasted no time going inside. I followed her in.
Rika-chan! Satoko-chan! いるなら返事をして!
We climbed a narrow staircase. It had looked like nothing more than a warehouse, but now that I was inside, I could feel how lived in it was. It was a person's home. Somehow the scent of the two of them filled the place. This was definitely where Rika-chan and Satoko lived. The first floor doubled as a town assembly warehouse, but the second floor was a space entirely for living. Just like a one-room apartment, past the kitchen was a living room, taking up 150 square feet. Dressers, cupboards, and the like were packed into the space, and in the corner there was a huge pile of clothes that appeared to have just been taken in from a drying outside. In the center was a fold-up table, and on it were small containers for things like soy sauce, salad dressings. The sense of a frugal lifestyle drifted from all of it. It was strange that they weren't here in the middle of the night like this. The adults climbing the stairs one at a time began to make a fuss and talk amongst themselves.
どう？やっぱりいない？
いない。絶対おかしい。
The village had just been thrown into chaos yesterday because of the mayor's disappearance. Then today, even Rika-chan and Satoko had. Were they out playing somewhere together? That can't be. Their bicycles aren't here though. Where would they have gone so late at night? Have they just not come back yet? Where did they go? The adults put forth various possibilities, and the house immediately devolved into a state of confusion. Eventually, Mion settled them down.
信じたくないけど、君吉の村長さんが消えたのが昨日の今日。無関係とは言い切れないね。
The adults' faces paled at Mion's declaration. Mai and Rena's did as well.
例えば、ご近所に行ってお茶でもごちそうになって眠っちゃって、起こすに起こせなくなってるなんて可能性ももちろんあるよね。その可能性をまず潰そう。牧野さんは裏手から沢のあたりの家を回ってください。
Makino-san.
慶太郎さんはおじゃが池の方。
Keitaro-san.
岡村さんは。
Mion promptly gave directions to the villagers. The adults followed them without hesitation despite her age.
私はここに残って電話で片っ端から心当たりに問い合わせてみます。じゃあ皆さん、そういうことで。
Got it. The adults all roared in a reply and pounded back down the stairs below.
さすがみーちゃんだね。みーちゃんは学校だけじゃなく、ひなみ沢の委員長さんみたいだよね。
茶化さない茶化さない。ほらどいて。おじさんは電話を使うんだから。
Okay, this old man. Mion grinned proudly, took the receiver, and got started. Rena gave Mion a trusting look, considering her dependable for doing all of this. My feelings, though, were a little more complicated since her leadership seemed to be affirming the Sonozaki family's successor, impression that Shion and Uishi-san had given me. Stop right there, Keiichi, my bara. None of that matters right now. The most important thing is to make sure Rika-chan and Satoko are safe. Let's see, couldn't there be a clue hinting on where they might have gone? Somewhere in this room?
とはいえ、そんなのわかるはずもないよな。
If we tore the place apart and figured out what was different from before, we might be able to speculate, but there was nothing strange about this room and there were no clues in sight. In the first place, I had never been here before. There was no way for me to know what was different if I didn't know how the room usually looked. Hey, don't give up, Keiichi, my bara. stopped thinking and started looking for something. In search of something, I tried pulling open the dresser drawers and opened the windows. I didn't uncover anything meaningful though. Rena was also unable to stand around doing nothing, was looking around the room like I was.
でもレナ、冷蔵庫や流しの下の棚とかを開いてもリカちゃんは見つからないと思うぞ。
隠れてるかなって思って。
How about you just try it?
は
What? As we were searching, it got noisy outside. Villagers were quickly assembling here, having heard the commotion. Of course, a lot of them were probably people Mion had called.
私、みんなに話をしてくる。遅かれ、警察も来るだろうしね。大石のやつにも事情を説明しなきゃ。
Mion began descending the stairs and we followed her out to the front of the house. There were already around 10 adults here, and all of them looked uneasy. I suddenly noticed that the old people from the shrine were here as well, and they were praying for Rika-chan's safety, rubbing their prayer beads. This has gotten bad. This wasn't just a problem within your friends anymore.
ミオンちゃん、リカちゃまとサトコちゃんがいなくなったってのは本当かい？
The villagers all formed a ring around Mion, swarming her. Mion raised her right hand as if silently telling them to calm down.
誰かの家にお邪魔していないか、町会の回覧区分に沿って全校をまず調べよう。本人たちがこっちの気も知らずに、誰かの家ですやすやとお泊まりしてる可能性もあるわけだからね。
It would definitely be hard for someone to wake up Rika-chan if she had eaten a good full meal and had fallen asleep like a kitten afterwards. Oh, how nice it would be if that were the case.
こんなことは考えたくないけど、もちろん悪いことが起こった可能性もある。
Mion's face grew remarkably more grim, and how a wave of silence washed over the adults.
我々も手分けしよう。昨夜の村長探しで回ったところをもう一度回る。
俺たちはダム現場をよく念入りに探してみる。お前さんたちは学校のあたりを探してみてくれ。
どうしたらはよ回らんと。行こう行こ
う。みんな昨日も村長さん探しで徹夜だったからね。寝不足で辛いだろうけど、どうかよろしく。
With that as her signal, the adults scattered in every direction. I figured I should scatter somewhere as well, so I started walking unsteadily in a direction no one else had gone in. I was getting farther and farther from people. I didn't feel scared or anything though. If someone were made to disappear, Shion and I should be first. It would have been perfectly normal for me to be scared of the dark. However, I didn't feel that way. Why was that? It was because tonight, someone had already disappeared. So nobody else would disappear tonight. It would take some time before I, exhausted as I was, would feel guilt at the cause of my own selfish sense of relief. It might be Shion, man. Like Keiichi told her, right? And then they finished the phone call and now both of them are gone. Like if Shion went to... Okay, let's this was the hill from which you could see the whole village. Looking down from this hill, I could see the lights on here and there, and you know the entire village had awoken from its slumber. First Sakano-san and Tomitake-san, then the mayor, and now even Rika-chan and Satoko has been sacrificed, and the word of it was spreading everywhere. The strength in my knees left me. This could no longer be a joke. We could have found them. Mion would have told me I was a worrywart. Rena would have just be glad we did. And they would have smiled at me. My hopes disappeared as if I were awakening from a dream. That was what the view I could see was telling me. Following my knees and my arms, both bent forward onto the ground and I clawed at it with my nails. I couldn't figure out what I was feeling, or feeling sorrow or frustration.
俺のせいなのか。
I couldn't endure the burden of my own sin, and I had just told Rika-chan about it. They had nothing to do with it, but Rika-chan and even Satoko had been sacrificed. It was like a cross that Shion and I would each have to bear the weight of until we ourselves were erased. Well, if I'm going that far, then the problem started long before that. My original sin of breaking taboo and entering the ritual storehouse without asking. I knew I should have gone in there in the first place. Yet I lost out to cheap authority or curiosity. I haven't felt so angry at myself until this very moment. There was a crunching sound. I wasn't even interested in who made the noise, despondent as I was.
Keiichi-kun?
It was Rena. Okay. I guess we'll take a break here for now. Yeah, we'll take a break. So yeah, as I was saying last time, right? That if Rika-chan disappeared, it's Shion, honestly. My suspiciousness or Shion has been or became much more suspicious, I suppose, because of this. We told her about Rika-chan and now Rika-chan is gone, right? She told us about Kimiyoshi, maybe she did that, right? And then now we see earlier Mion, right? Mion going kinda crazy, right? Like both of them now, both these twins. I was like thinking that maybe it was just Shion, right? And then she was putting doubt on Mion, like telling us stuff, right? From the last part when she was calling Keiichi. But Mion said that, or I thought maybe that the Mion we were with at this time, maybe that was Shion, right? Maybe she could have been pretending with all her mind being messed up like that, right? But then Mion said, old man. Like Mion always says old man, right? So now, I don't know anymore. I thought that maybe it was just only Shion, right? Maybe she could have been pretending that, maybe Shion could have been pretending to be Mion, right? Something like that. Change her clothes, change her hair, and change her the way she talks. She could have been Mion. But then, yeah, the old man thing, so I don't know anymore, man. Maybe it's both of them, right? The Sonozaki sisters. But then again, remember what Rika-chan said, right? There is a trickster cat, right? And I've been remembering all the time that when Mion said this, like in the earlier episodes of this playthrough of the second chapter, she said that Shion is cold and scary, right? I always remember that. Cold and scary. That honestly, that stick to me. Cold and scary. So, yeah. I don't know, man. I think we're getting close to the end of this one, I suppose, right? And we're gonna have to find out what happens, but yeah. But the number one suspect is gonna be Shion for me. Number one still, Shion. She can be like, what do you call this? Lovely, joyful, right? But that could have been an act, right? I don't know. We'll have to see. I want to see. Like, this one is a question arc, right? Like, 4 of this first 4 chapters are just question arcs. So basically, they're giving us mysteries, right? And then 5 to 6, they said, is the answer arcs, right? So they're not really gonna say anything in this one, in this game, right? On what is really happening. I guess we're gonna learn that on the answer arcs. I can't wait, man. But it's nice to theorize, honestly, because yeah, you get that suspense, I suppose. That, oh, maybe they're doing this, maybe they're doing that, right? And then when we get to the answer arcs, we could compare, like, what did I say about this last time? Am I correct? Am I wrong? It's very... I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait to see that. Like, I have not played games like this that gives you, yeah, questions, right? And even this chapters are very long. It's not like, oh, you have like 5-hour gameplay, right? No, this is pretty much a very full game. Like it's, you could say like 20 hours, right? Per chapter. At least that the two what we played. Almost 20 hours. So it's very long. And then you have, that's for just question arcs, right? And then you have answer arcs. Who knows how long they are gonna be, right? I can't wait for that. I can't wait to see the answers, I suppose, to all of these mysteries that has been happening. It's gonna be very enjoyable. So yes, we will continue this and do more of Higurashi When They Cry Chapter 2 Watanagashi in the next one. So I'll just see you then, guys. Bye bye.